Fellas, I got some groundbreaking stuff to share with you today. Yes, were you aware that the Goodreads Choice Awards are in fact dumb and bad? Yes, it is that time of year again where everyone collectively agrees that the Goodreads Choice Awards are bad, but we participate anyway. Every year people make videos complaining about them, how they're just biased popularity contests, they don't give a chance for smaller authors, and all these genuine problems with them, some people even offering solutions that Amazon will never implement. In fact, last year I also threw my hat into the ring with a video like that. So I'm not really going to be doing that again. Y'all know the deal with these awards already, so I thought we'd have a bit of fun. Yes, when the final round voting was happening, I combed through the nominations and compiled a list of predictions. That's right, I have attempted to foresee the winners of the Goodreads Choice Awards, so today we'll be discussing my prediction, then reacting to the actual winner. I have not seen any of them yet, and I'll be providing commentary as I see fit. So we'll start off with the general fiction category. Now, you know me, I'm a big fiction guy, but usually more of like the wizards and aliens type fiction, contemporary stuff. But you know, I'm not an idiot. I know this one's probably going to go to Frederick Bachman's new book. An extremely popular author. This was probably the only book that was nominated that I had actually heard about. Again, mainly because I'm not really in the general contemporary fiction circle. But yeah, I had someone send me a link here so I can open it without spoiling any of the other winners. And wow, look at that. I'm a genius. My friend's here with 167... over 150,000 votes, not bad. Again, I don't really know much about any of these books, so I don't have a lot to add to the commentary here. I might have been saying his name wrong. It might be Backman. The bro is Swedish. I don't know. Either way, congratulations. Let's move on here to historical fiction. For historical fiction, I went with Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have actually read this book and really enjoyed it. And Taylor Jenkins Reid is just one of those juggernaut authors, so I'd be really shocked if she didn't take home this prize. Is the Goodreads Award a physical prize? I don't think it is. You know what I mean. Wow, shocker, there it is. 250,000 votes. Very, very good. And I do think it's kind of funny because, I feel like there's probably a disconnect between a lot of historical fiction readers and readers who write Atmosphere. Obviously, there are so many more of them. This thing has 500,000 ratings, and half of those people voted for it for historical fiction. And, you know, I also voted for it. You know, that's what you do. You vote for all the books you've read and ignore the ones you haven't. But yeah, big win for all my lesbians up in space right now. Good job, guys. Mystery thriller was a bit tough to predict. Mainly because of Frieda here. Frieda McFadden is an absurdly popular author, and I'm sure you've heard of her books or have at least seen them before. And she should be a lock for the award, except for the fact that she put out 4 or 5 books this year or something insane like that. I have zero interest in reading her stuff, but it's kind of insane that not only does she pump out these books so fast, but the fact that she's also a brain surgeon. Yeah, if you didn't know that, surprise, Frieda McFadden's a brain surgeon. Anyway, so I did predict the Tenant as the winner, but we'll see what happened here. Okay, all right. This is a book I've not heard of. It looks like Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson barely beat out The Tenant, and I know exactly why. What the hell's going on here? Yeah, you see, we had 2 other Frieda books that seem to have split the vote here. Because I definitely imagine if people had not voted for The Crash or The Intruder, then The Tenant would have taken it. Seems like it's going to be very difficult for Frieda to win this award if she still releases books at the rate she does, but I doubt she cares. Thursday Murder Club is here. My mom was reading this book and she sent me a quote from it because they apparently made a reference to the Da Vinci twins. So that's cute, I guess. I would have voted for that one. There's the OG Dan Brown with The Secret of Secrets. There's one book I feel like should be in this category. Not saying I think it should have won, but we'll get to that. But for now, it's romance. This one was a bit tricky to pick because I think it should go to Emily Henry. And to be honest, I have a bit of authority on that because I actually just read an Emily Henry book. I believe Funny Story, the one that came out last year. And I quite liked it. I thought it was really, really good. But I do have a worry that Ali Hazelwood might take it, and I don't want to see that happen. So let's see. Hell yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. Great Big Beautiful Life. I'm definitely going to be reading this year with my book club. My book club absolutely loves Emily Henry, so there's going to be a lot more Emily Henry I'll be reading. But I did really like that one book, so, you know, I am not opposed to reading more. We do have some fairly close runners-up, though. This is the Ali Hazelwood book I was worried about. Here's the one I read. This one was, like, absolutely garbage. I don't know how our other stuff is, but, like, wow. In fact, actually, you know what? I think if those votes went to Deep End, it still wouldn't have beaten Emily Henry, so that's good to see. As always, a lot of these books look like they have the same artist or graphic designer on them, and several hockey ones too, man. Geez, write about something else for once. Now, Romantasy is probably the most obvious one. It's not a matter of if Onyx Storm won, it's by how many votes. And I'm actually quite scared to see that number, but here we go. 300,000. Honestly, I feel like Fourth Wing got a lot more than that. But this is still absolutely absurd, and guys, if you have not seen this number yet, hide. I swear to God. The third book in the series has 1.5 million ratings, and the book is only 11 months old. This is scary, man. Fourth Wing fans are scary. We do have some popular stuff here. Alchemize is, of course, a Harry Potter fic. Ellie Hazelwood also here. She puts out a lot of books too, you know. She might also be a brain surgeon. Who knows? Man, again, most of these look the same, and I don't really have much else to say on them. If you feel like I'm passing over some peak here, let me know, but for now, I'm gonna stay ignorant to some of this stuff. Finally getting into the categories I can speak with more authority on with fantasy. And this one was a bit tricky because there's two books that I think had a fairly good chance. Those being Catabasis and Wind and Truth. However, I did not predict either of those because while I personally loved both of those books, they did prove to be quite polarizing in their fan bases. To the point where I think a lot of people who read those books would be more likely to vote for something else in the category. That is why I locked in my prediction with Victoria Schwab. She's a super popular author, and I think her fans are fairly reliable. I'm pretty sure she's won this award before, so let's see if I was right. Oh baby, you know I was. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Catabasis did get quite a few more votes, so what the hell? I always forget there are people who read books but don't rate them, because Catabasis has more votes than it actually does ratings. That's kind of insane to me. I mean, the Bury Our Bones also has a very insane, vote to rating ratio. There's Wind and Truth, which was always going to be omega popular, but I feel like it definitely could have gotten more votes if more people were happy with that book. I mean, I personally was, but it definitely wasn't, the peak of the Cosmere that I think some people were hoping for. Strength of the Few getting double the votes that it has ratings. Are people who liked the first book just rating it? I'm actually kind of confused, what the deal is there. Good to see The Devil so high up. A very, very good book. I definitely want to read Drop of Corruption next year because I loved The Tainted Cup. And my personal vote was for King Sorrow. As you can see, also has more votes than it does ratings. I think there were a couple things going against King Sorrow that were a bit unfair. For one, the book is still fairly recent and it is very long, so a lot of people who want to read it have not had the chance to check it out yet. I also feel like this might have been better suited for horror. It does fit in fantasy, but yeah, I don't know. I think it might have had a better shot in horror. Either way, yeah, this was definitely my favorite of the category this year, though lots of good books for sure. Now, when it comes to science fiction, I don't believe I actually knew any of the nominees, at least not in the final round. I just predicted The Compound. I don't really know anything about The Compound, but it seemed like one of the more popular ones. I feel like Sun Eater might have had a better chance if it had, come out earlier in the year, but of course it just came out, so I don't think it really had much chance here. Let's see what actually won science fiction. Oh, look at that, that's crazy. Love that. Love Island meets Black Mirror does sound kind of fire. Maybe really not my kind of thing, but I see the vision for sure. Yeah, I'm just really not familiar with a lot of these books, and there are a lot of big sci-fi series that I'm aware of, but they really haven't been any releases this year. I know of Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've heard his stuff is fantastic, so that might be on my radar in the future. And I did read Death of the Author, which I thought was okay, but I actually feel like these science fiction elements were the weakest part of that book. But now we're moving into horror, and you know what? I'm actually a little bit worried because before I made this video, I gave it to Grady Hendrix. And you're saying, why not Stephen King? Well, a couple reasons. For one, I think Never Flinch is probably the weakest of the Holly Gibney books, and I don't think I'm alone in saying that. I also just don't think it's a horror book. It really isn't. The Outsider was far more of a horror book than Never Flinch was, and that got nominated for Mystery Thriller the year it came out. And I mean, like, Goodreads has been okay with, like, classifying Stephen King books in their actual genres, like fairy tale was in fantasy. I do not understand why Never Flinch was in horror. But the thing is, now that I'm seeing that there are books that have way more votes than they do ratings, it makes me think there are a lot of people who just vote on whatever, and there's likely a huge portion of people who will just vote Stephen King because it's Stephen King. And that means I might lose this one. We'll see. Come on, Hendrix, you got this, buddy. Oh, but I was still right. Oh, you can't beat me. But it was close, though. Look at that. Only off by 2,000 votes. Okay. Yeah, Grady Hendrix has just become an extremely popular author, and, like, wow. Even if it's not one of Stephen King's best, I mean, just getting above him on an award like this is pretty commendable. I've only read one Grady Hendrix book, and I wasn't super big on it. That was the My Best Friend's Exorcism. But a lot of people love his stuff, so I'm probably going to have to try out some more at some point. Personally voted for Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Really enjoyed that book, and it's one of those books that's really stuck with me and just keeps getting better the more I think about it. I've heard You Were Never Meant to Be Human is pretty crazy and psycho, so that might be something I want to check out. In general, I don't know a ton more about any of these. As always, you know, recommend me some stuff if you think I would enjoy it. Now for debut novel, this one's gonna have to go to the aforementioned Harry Potter fic. This is Alchemized. No shocker here, this book was quite popular. It's like 1,000 pages long. It's, I think, Hermione and Draco fanfic. It was, like, published on the web. It was big on Tumblr back in the day, and then they went in and they just, like, changed all the names to be, like, a, you know, original story. Zero desire to read this. The stuff I've heard about it, honestly, I don't want to be mean, but it kind of grosses me out. If you like it, fine, go for it. But yeah, not going to be one I'm checking out here. So yeah, these are all debut novels. So not really much to say, but it will be interesting to see if any of these authors, you know, will go on to become big names. Audiobook, this one was a bit difficult because, you know, I haven't listened to, I don't think, any of the audiobooks that were nominated, so I just went with the safe bet, Onyx Storm. Let's see. Yeah, I was right. I mean, this one, I don't know if this audiobook is better than most audiobooks. I would imagine it just brute forced its way into winning, I suppose. Great to see the Devils here. Abercrombie's got a really good guy who does his books. As for young adult fantasy and sci-fi, another category that wasn't really fair, as it of course went to Hunger Games by a significant margin. I wasn't a big fan of this book, though I did think it was an improvement over the previous prequel, and obviously a lot of fans like it. I'll be honest, the movie does look like it could be fire, so, you know, we'll see. I don't read a lot of YA stuff, and a lot of it, again, looks very similar. There's Heavenly Tyrant, which I talked about recently, had a bit of a controversy. So yeah, good job, Suzanne Collins. I mean, she probably could have written anything and it would have won. For young adult fiction, I don't know any of these books. I just picked Fake Skating. Let's see. Oh, baby! Oh, I did it! I got it! No one is more in tune to the youths than me. I've talked about before, I really dislike how they have the YA stuff split up, because they basically have, like, more serious books with, like, the rom-coms thrown together. Really don't care for that, but yeah, Fake Skating, good job. I'm sure we'll see a movie on Netflix in a couple years. Non-fiction, I think this one's pretty handily gonna go to John Green for Everything Is Tuberculosis. Apparently I was saying it wrong. A lot of people were really upset with how I pronounced tuberculosis. I think that's correct. I'm not too sure. Genuinely, I thought I was saying right. Like, I understand now. But, like, wow, geez. And there it is. There is our boy John Green. Not as big a blowout as I expected. It looks like this one did pretty well as well. But yeah, this was just inevitable. John Green has a massive fan base, and I did read this book. I thought it was fantastic. And I really commend John Green for, like, mobilizing his giant fan base and sort of putting it towards this really important topic. While he has always done educational content, I do like how his, you know, books have also gone that way, because a lot of the people who read his books have grown up now and are adults, and something like this may be more appealing and valuable to them. From memoir, it's definitely going to go to that girl who was like hostage to her YouTube family. That whole thing was pretty nuts. I remember like looking into that when it happened. Like, what the hell? Yeah, no shocker here. Malala did pretty well. Good job, Malala. Jeremy Renner, my next breath. Like, okay, I know Jeremy Renner had like this serious accident and like almost died and everything, but this cover and title just seems a bit silly to me. I don't know, is that insensitive? Sorry, Jeremy Renner, I really enjoyed you in Wake Up Dead Man, but this whole thing just kind of reminds me of the Paul Rudd book. And finally, for history and biography, really had nothing to say on this one. I guessed A Marriage at Sea. Let's see if A Marriage at Sea got it. Okay, no, it was a book about silencing women. Sorry, women. So what, I got 13 out of 15 correct? What am I, a psychic? No, 90% of the time I just predicted the book that had the most ratings. Because, say it with me, the Goodreads Awards are dumb and bad. But if they aren't going to improve them in any meaningful way, then you can count on us to always be there to make fun of them. Thank you all for watching. What did you guys vote for the Goodreads Choice Awards? Was there anything you think was snubbed that I should read? Leave it in the comments below, and I will see you all very soon for a new video.